Hey, it's your guy Tyrrell back with the interviews. Following a disappointing defeat to Real Madrid over the weekend, Sevilla bounced back in fine fashion with a great win over Barcelona despite Lionel Messi not being available. How did Sevilla do it? Where did Barcelona go wrong? Don't worry, here at the interviews, we've got you covered. So on this edition of the interviews, we're going to break down how Sevilla beat Barcelona. So before we get to today's video, don't forget to give our video a thumbs up if you do enjoy it. The bell below does give you daily notifications regarding our organic, unfiltered soccer/footy analysis. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. In today's video, we're going to break down the first half, see where Barcelona struggled to create chances and how Sevilla were able to get forward. Then move to the second half, see how Sevilla were able to build a 2-goal lead and carry that into the Camp Nou in next week's second leg. But first, let's get to the starting lineups. We look at Barcelona, a lot of big names missing. 4-3-3, Yedder. They went with Malcolm and Kevin-Prince Boateng up front. In midfield, Rakitic, Artur, and Arturo Vidal. Then we moved to Sevilla, more of a 3-5-2. They had Yedder and they had Proms up front, Sarabia, Banega, and they had Amadou in midfield, and out in the wing-back areas, Escudero and Jesus Navas. So now let's look to the first half, see where Barcelona kind of struggled and how Sevilla were able to get forward. So when we look at the opening half and we break down the tactical battle, Sevilla were trying to press from the front in the opening stages, trying to peg Barcelona back. That wasn't really working out for them. The only time where it really did look like they were going somewhere with that was when they pressed from the goal kicks and they were able to prevent Barca from building out that way. And that was easy because what they had was that they had two players up front that could step out to the center backs. They had the wing backs pushing out to the full backs. If Rakitic tried to drop deeper, they could push Sarabia there. Sometimes Sarabia would be pushed out to the center backs and they'd have either Yedder or they would have Prom stick to Rakitic, and then they were able to push Amadou and they were able to push Banega out into Vidal and Artur. So that was one way they were going to go about it. Barcelona, on the other hand, also had the ability to press from the front when obviously Sevilla tried to build out of the back. Because they had the 3v3, they could push the forwards out to the center backs, they could push the full backs out to the wing backs as well, and they equally as well had a midfield battle where they were matched up well. However, when you look at that, Sevilla were able to find an outlet through that stage because their goalkeeper was able to kick the ball out, and what we often saw was Proms drift out to the right back, into that right back zone where he could try to win balls over Sergio Roberto or even Piqué. We saw it on a few occasions. The first time that a kick was punted out into that zone, Piqué tried to step in and intervene, and he nodded the ball into Sarabia, who was then able to shift the ball out to Jesus Navas to go 1v1 with Semedo. The cross didn't work out. Shortly after that, we saw that same kick again. This time, Proms was able to win it over Sergio Roberto and nod it down into Yedder, again sliding the ball out to Jesus Navas. That was one of the key outlets that they did have. Jesus Navas was able to run at Semedo, who wasn't your natural left back, but he played in that role, and he was able to often beat him on the outside, but he never really played any dangerous cross into the box that led to goal-scoring opportunities. So that was one way that they were really going about it from open play and how they were bypassing Barcelona's press. We looked at how Barcelona were really trying to go about things. Barcelona, on the other hand, they had a few tactical issues based on the fact that they didn't have any runners running in behind. There were no balls over the top. Everything was played right in front of Sevilla, and that kind of worked out to their benefit because you had Aliena kind of tucking in, you had Malcolm holding the width on the right but not offering much. Aliena, when he was pushing into those central midfield roles, his first touch was a bit shaky, not really offering a quick possession play or looking to play forward and build the attack. So although they were overloading the midfield, they weren't really creating any chances because, as you can see, Rakitic from deeper wasn't playing balls over the top. Vidal doesn't really offer you that presence, and Artur, despite his ability to evade challenges and retain possession, wasn't offering much penetration. And out in the wider areas, nothing was really going well for them. They did have Kevin-Prince Boateng making his debut, and what we often saw was him dropping off deeper. You could see why he's there. He's able to hold up the ball. He often dragged out Kier out of position. One of their better chances, we saw Malcolm from the right play the ball into Boateng, and he was able to hold it up, played into Vidal, and Vidal laid it off to Malcolm, who tucked in, but Malcolm fired a shot off a defender and it was blocked. We saw Piqué try to play it into him, and he dropped off, and he was fouled by Kier. We saw an incident where Semedo was able to evade a challenge and then play the ball into Boateng again, just dropping off, linking play, but there were no real runners in behind. And that was one of the big things, because you could see what Boateng was trying to do, and you could see how that can play an advantage if you have other players that are willing to make runs in behind when he pulls defenders out of position. But you could just see that there was nothing over the top. Whenever they tried to play the balls into the channels for Boateng, he wasn't getting onto it. Was it perhaps him being a bit too slow, the passes not being on point? It was a bit of both, and that was one of the issues that Barcelona had. They did, however, possibly create the best chance of the half, and that stemmed from just Rakitic picking a squared ball up around the center circle, and he was able to play a pass into, he was basically to play a pass in between Amadou and Banega. And what happened here was that Malcolm was tight near Escudero, because when Sevilla didn't have the ball, they often dropped off into a 5-man backline. He was able to step away from him, run across Gomez to get that pass in between, and he was able to round the keeper, but he fired his shot inches wide of the net. You expect a player of his caliber to finish that chance, and that was a big opportunity for Barcelona, probably their best of the game, and they were unable to finish it. And then when you think about Sevilla's best chances, a lot of them did stem from the fact that they were playing more direct football, and that was how they were able to get forward. One was just a quick free kick in between Piqué and Roberto for Ben Yedder, and he was able to drop a few challenges from Piqué, from Artur sliding in, and he fired a shot wide. Then you have Sergio Roberto again, and it looked like he was the weak link here, just nodding a loose ball behind him, and Escudero was able to pick up the ball and slide it to Banega in that left channel, and he plays a ball around Piqué for Ben Yedder breaking in, but he fired a shot at Cillessen, who made a quality save. When you break down the first half, both sides kind of pressed well. Barca was able to bypass it, but never really created chances. Sevilla looked to Proms, who was able to offer an aerial threat and caused Roberto and Piqué some problems, and Prince Boateng kind of showed what he does offer, but Barcelona didn't have any players running in behind. So now let's get to the second half, see how Sevilla were able to run away with the game and how Barcelona attempted to challenge them once they fell behind. When we moved to the second half, one of the changes that we did see was Aliena and we saw Malcolm swap positions. Malcolm was now playing on the left, and early on, Barcelona had one of the better chances from Cillessen punting the ball out to Boateng, who did pull out Kier, and his first touch got away from Kier, and it did allow Aliena to get onto a pass, but his next touch was very poor, and he was unable to create a chance from that opportunity. But after that, we didn't really see much of Boateng, and we did see some issues with the way Sevilla were playing and the way that Barcelona were unable to cope, because now we saw Jesus Navas pushing forward, we saw Sarabia kind of push out into that right zone, and with Malcolm not tracking back, Artur had a lot of the duty of helping out and protecting Semedo, and sometimes he would get caught because he would hold his position and be stuck narrow, and it would allow opportunities for Sarabia to move out to the wider areas and offer somewhat of an overload. We saw as Sevilla were building pressure and in the build up to their opening goal, it was Sarabia drifting out into that zone, and he was able to make a difference. Prior to the goal, probably a minute or so before, Navas was able to slide the ball out to Sarabia, who ran 1v1 with Semedo, and was able to cut outside and pull the ball back into Amadou breaking forward, but he skied his effort over the net. The build up to the goal again saw Sarabia break from a wider position, and it stemmed from just simple build up play out of the back, Gomez sliding the ball to Escudero, Roberto steps to him, and then Proms drops off and he drags out Piqué. Piqué follows him, but he's able to use a bit of trickery and pace to drift and storm past Piqué. What we end up seeing here is Langlais, and we see Semedo being sucked into the play, and Amadou making a darting run into that space to drag them out of position. The cross misses everyone, but it's Sarabia breaking free because one, Malcolm is in there, Artur is caught narrow, and he's able to fire a superb effort past the keeper. Things didn't get better for Barcelona. You had Malcolm with a poor back header into the path of Banega. He was able to turn and then slide the ball into Escudero, who then pulled it back to him, and Banega with not an effort, it just wide of the net. And then we saw again from just a simple back play, and it's just near his box, Navas is able to slice a ball through the midfield. Rakitic misses it. Proms is able to drop off and slide it to Ben Yedder in what eventually becomes a 3v2. And as he gets forward, he slides the ball out wide to Escudero, who waits for the Banega overload, and he's able to cut in with Vidal coming across, and he fires a shot over the net. That was enough for Barcelona. They brought on Coutinho, they brought on Luis Suarez, but that didn't really change much. Suarez again was suffering the same issues that Prince Boateng was, in the sense that there was no real service for him in terms of penetration in behind, although he was making the run, so he didn't have much of an impact. Coutinho on the left didn't make sense because he was drifting centrally, and Ayena again isn't really your natural wide player who was expected to hold the width, so they were really suffering there because Coutinho's first touch was poor. He wasn't creating any chances. He wasn't really involved. So those changes didn't really help Barcelona. There was only one opportunity in particular where Suarez made up for his poor touch and was able to strip Mercado, and the ball fell to Semedo, who slid the ball into Coutinho ahead of the center backs, and he fired a shot from the edge of the box over the net. Sevilla eventually made some changes. They brought on Vasquez. They brought on Andre Silva and moved Proms out to right wing back role. And what happened there was that eventually they got the build up to the second goal. And how that happened, again, more Barcelona mistakes. Coutinho ended up losing the ball around the midfield zone. What happens is that Vasquez is now able to play a reverse ball in between Artur and Rakitic for Andre Silva, who's able to dribble past them both and Longley and slide the ball out to Banega breaking forward. And with both center backs really pulled out, he's able to slide a great cross through the 6-yard box for Ben Yedder breaking in, and he tapped his effort into the net. When you break down the game as a whole, Barcelona making a few changes to their lineup, but just not offering enough penetration through midfield. Again, making a lot of mistakes. Prince Boateng offered a big spark for his debut, but the problem here wasn't him. It was the fact that there was no one there really to complement him, no one to break him behind. And with Barcelona making mistakes and being susceptible to breaks on the counterattack and not really fixing the issues that they had with Sarabia and Navas during that brief spell, they fell short. This wasn't a tactical spectacle. Barcelona didn't offer much, and in the sense of them really trying to find chances, that wasn't the case here. But let me know what you guys think. Can Barcelona turn this around with Lionel Messi? Can Sevilla go to the Camp Nou and get a result? If so, how do you think they're going to do it? And how do you think Barcelona should approach this game following this performance? Meet me in the comments below. Don't forget I upload videos every day, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And that was your daily dose of the interviews.